Hello everyone, myself in Rajeshwari. I am working as contract lecturer in electrical department in Government Polytechnic College, Terial. I am dealing with the subject electrical power systems. In that, the present topic is distribution systems. In distribution systems, I want to deal with the topic in this class is calculation of voltage drop in DC distribution systems and also a smart grid technology. So before going to the start the class, so in last classes I discussed about uh, AC distributor fed at one end with concentrated loading and calculation on AC distributors with the one end and both ends and also midpoint of the distributor. So in today's class, we'll discussing about that DC distributor fed at one end with concentrated loading and to the both ends and also uniformly loaded distributors. So first of all, the DC distributor fed at one end with concentrating loading. So the figure shows the single line diagram of two-wire DC distributor AB fed at one end A and having concentrated loads I1, I2 and I3 and also I4 tapped off uh, at the points C, D, E and F respectively. So let R1, small R1, R2, R3 and R4 be the resistances of both wires go and return of the sections AC, CD, DE, EF of the distributor respectively. So in that, this is fed at only one end of the distributor. So this is at point A, it is feeding with one end, and this is the R1 resistance of AC section, R2 resistance of CD section, R3 resistance of DE section, and R4 resistance of EF section, and complete AB is the distributor of two-wire DC distributor. So these are the four loads I1, I2, I3 and I4 are the four loads, and I1, I2, I3, I4 are the currents close to the loads. So C, D, E, F are the points of concentrated loads. So the current fed from point A is I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4, and the current in section AC is I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4, and current in section CD is I2 plus I3 plus I4. Current in section DE is I3 plus I4, and current in section EF is equal to the I4, and voltage drop in the section AC is R1 times I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4, and coming to the voltage drop in section CD R2 into I2 plus I3 plus I4, and the voltage drop in the section DE is R3 into I3 plus I4. The voltage drop in the section EF is equal to R4 into I4. The total voltage drop in the distributor will be given by sum of these four voltage drops in all sections. So the total voltage drop in the distributor is equal to voltage drop in section AC plus voltage drop in section CD plus voltage drop in section DE plus voltage drop in section EF. So which is given by R1 into I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4 plus R2 into I2 plus I3 plus I4 plus R3 into I3 plus I4 plus R4 into I4. This is the total voltage drop in the distributor at concentrated loading. So it is easy to see that the minimum potential will occur at point F, which is farthest from the feeding point A. It is farthest from A. So here the voltage distribution is minimum or the voltage drop is minimum potential will occur at this point F. So that is R4 into I4 is the voltage drop or minimum potential appears across the point F. Coming to the distributor fed at both ends with concentrated loading, the figure shows the distributor AB fed with unequal voltages at end A being fed at V1 volts and at B it is V2 volts. So in both sides, point A and point B is having connection with distributor. So the point of minimum potential can be found by following the same procedure as discussed above. By calculating currents and by calculating voltage drops, and finally we have to total the voltage of all voltage drops are added to give the total voltage drop in the distributor section. Thus, in this case, the voltage drop between AB is equal to voltage drop over AB, which is V1 minus V2 is equal to voltage drop over AB. V1 is at A point and at end B, it is voltage is V2 volts. So this is the figure for both sides, distributor fed at both sides, which is a VB, VA, or V1 and V2. So this is IA minus I1, and IA minus I1 minus I2. This is IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3. This is I4. So which is IB is coming from B point and IA is coming from A point. So these are the I1, I2, I3, I4 loads. The current in the section AC, CD, DE and EF will be the IA and in CD IA minus I1 and DE IA minus I1 minus I2 and this D is IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3 and finally EF IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3 minus I4 respectively. The voltage drop from feeding point A to the feeding point B is VA minus or VA difference VB. If VA is high, VA minus VB. If VB is high, then VB minus VA. Whatever the difference between the two voltages will be taken, uh, which is equal to IA into RAC plus IA minus I1 into RCD plus IA minus I1 minus I2 into RDE and plus IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3 into REF plus finally EFB is also there. So IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3 minus I4 into RFB is a total voltage of feeding point from A to feeding point B. So in case 1, the distributor fed at both ends with equal voltages, then VA minus VB equal to 0. In case 2, DC distributor fed at both ends with unequal voltages, then VA minus VB is equal to this equation IA RAC plus IA minus I1 into RCD plus IA minus I1 minus I2 into RDE plus IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3 into REF and plus IA minus I1 minus I2 minus I3 minus I4 into RFB is a final equation with unequal voltages. Coming to the uniformly loaded distributor fed at both ends. To consider a distributor AB of length L meters having resistance R ohms per meter run and with uniform loading of I amperes per meter run as shown in below figure. Let the distributor be fed at the feeding end points A and B at equal voltages, say V volts, the total current supplied to the distributor is I into L. As the two end voltages are equal, therefore the current supplied from the each feeding point is IL by 2, that is given by current supplied from the each feeding point is equal to IL by 2. This is the circuit diagram shown in this figure, and feeding points are A and B. The voltage at the two feeding points are A and B, which is equal to V, and the currents at the loads are equal currents I small I, and DC A, B are the two feeding points, and C is the midpoint. Not exactly midpoint. The length is L in X distance from point A to X distance. It is point C, where dx is the smallest distance. So this total current supplied from each point, that is midpoint, is L by IL by 2. Consider at a point C at a distance x meters from feeding point A. Then current at point C is IL, so which is equal to IL by 2 minus IX is equal to IL, which is equal to I is common point, so common term I into L by 2 minus X is the current at point C. Now consider a small length dx near point C. Its resistance is R dx, and the voltage drop over the length dx is given by dV is equal to I into L by 2 minus X into R into dx, so which is equal to I and R are common terms in two equations, so IR into L by 2 minus X into dx is the smallest voltage drop for the length of dx. So voltage drop up to point C is given by, so that is the maximum voltage. The integration over 0 to x IR into L by 2 minus x into dx. So by applying integration to the this term, so IR, finally we will get that IR into Lx by 2 minus x square by 2, because for 1 dx integration is x, uh, for maximum x minus 0, so Lx by 2, and for x it is x square by 2. By substituting maximum and the minimum values, x square minus 0 square by 2, so that is x square by 2. So by 2 is a common term for both terms, so IR by 2 into Lx minus x square is the voltage drop up to point C. Obviously, the point of minimum potential will be at the midpoint. Therefore, maximum voltage drop will occur at midpoint, that is where x is equal to L by 2. Maximum voltage drop is equal to IR by 2 into Lx minus x square, where x equal to L by 2. By substituting the value x is equal to L by 2, which is equal to IR by 2 into L by 2 minus L square by 4. So where by simplifying this equation, L square by 2 minus L square by 4, where by taking LCM, 4 is LCM, so 2 times of L square minus L square, so L square by 4 into 2. So 1 by 8 IR into L square. So by splitting these two terms, 1 by 8 into small I into L into RL into R into L. So IL will give the total current fed to the distributor from both the ends. So small IL is equal to capital I, and R into L is given as a resistance of total resistance of the distributor, which is R into L equal to capital R, the total resistance of distributor. So by putting these two values, 1 by 8 into IR is maximum voltage drop, where minimum voltage drop is equal to V minus IR by 8 volts is the minimum voltage in the distributor. This is all about the three types of uh, distributor equations that are distributor fed at one end at both ends and uniformly loaded, and in one end and both ends this is a concentrated, this is a uniformly loaded. So these are the three cases. Coming to problem, we will see one problem in DC distributors. So in the last class, we will discuss about AC distributor problems. In this class, we are seeing that DC distributor and the problem regarding the DC distributors. So first one of the problem I am explaining. So a DC distributor 1000-meter long and is loaded as under distance from feeding point meters in meters. So which is 250, 750,000. The load in amperes are 100, 200 and 300. The resistance of each conductor is 0.025 ohms per 1000 meters. Find the voltage at each load point if the voltage at the feeding point A is maintained at 250 volts. So this is a distributor fed at one end. This is 250 meters. From feeding point to C point is 750. So 250 plus 500. This is 1000. So 250 plus 500 plus 250. And 100, 200, 300 are the load currents. First of all, we have to write the given data. The resistance in each distributor is 0.025 ohms per 1000 meters. So resistance in distributor from 1 meter length is 0.025 by 1000 will get 2.5 into 10 power minus 5 ohms. We know that distributor has two wires, hence the resistance between A and B is R1 2.5 into 10 to the power of minus 5 into 2 times of its actual length 250. So 0.125 ohms is the resistance in AB, and resistance between BC is R2 is equal to 2.5 into 10 to the power of minus 5 into 2 into 500. So which is given by 0.025 ohms. The resistance between C and D are R3. So 2.5 into 10 power minus 5 into 2 into 250, which is given as 0.0125 ohms. And current flowing through the section AB is I1 plus I2 plus I3, which is 600 amperes. The current flowing through the section BC is I2 plus I3, which is 500 amperes. Current flowing through the section CD is 300 amperes. So now we have to calculate voltage at point B, point C, and point D. So the voltage at point B is VB is equal to voltage at point A, VA minus the voltage drop in the section AC. So VA voltage drop is 250 minus I1 plus I2 plus I3 into R1. So 600 into 0.0125. So we'll get the VB as 242.5 volts, and voltage at point C is VC, which is equal to voltage at D, VB minus voltage drop in the section DC. So similarly, 242.5 minus 500 into 0.025, which will get 230 volts, and voltage at point D is VD is equal to voltage at C, and that is BC minus voltage drop in the section CD. So 230 minus I3 and R3. So which is 230 minus 300 into 0.10125. So 125 is which is given as 226.25 volts is VD. So this is the problem regarding the DC distributor. And one more problem, we will see that one more problem regarding the DC distributor. A two-wire distributor is fed at A and B with 510 volts and 500 volts respectively. This is under the case of the distributor fed at two ends. Loads of 180 amperes and 100 amperes are taken at the points C and D. The resistance of both conductors between AC is 0.03 ohms and between CD 0.05 ohms and DB is 0.02 ohms. Find the value of current in each section of the distributor and voltage at each load point. So let the current supplied from A and B are I1 and I2 respectively. I1 plus I2 is a 180 plus 100, totally 280 amperes. The voltage drop in the distributor from A to B is BA minus BB, 510 minus 500, that is 10. So I1 into 0.03 plus I1 minus 180 into 0.05 plus I1 minus 280 into 0.02 is equal to the 10. So by simplifying this equation, 0.03 I1 plus 0.05 I1 plus 0.02 I1 minus 9 minus 5.6 is equal to 10. So 0.1 I1 is equal to 10 plus 9 plus 5.6, which is equal to the I1, which is equal to 24.6 by 0.1, 246 amperes in the I1. By substituting the value I1 in the equation 1, this is the equation number 1. So we'll get I2. So I2 is equal to 280 minus 246, which is equal to 34 amperes is the I2 current. The current flowing through various sections are IAC, ICD, and IBC. So IAC equal to I1, 246 amperes. ICD equal to I1 minus 180, which is equal to 66 amperes. That is 246 minus 180. And IBC is equal to I2, that is 34 amperes. The voltage drop at each load point are VC, which is equal to VA minus drop between AC, which is 510 minus 246 into 0.03, which will give us as 502.62 volts as VC, and VD, similarly VD equal to VT minus drop between VD. So that is 500 minus 34 into 0.02, which is equal to 500 minus 0.68, so which is 499.62 volts. And coming to the VC and VD, the voltage drops at point these 2 points C and D. So current in each section will be I1 and I2, and IAC, ICD, and IBC. So coming to the next problem, the two-wire DC distributor cable is 1000 meters. This is uniformly loaded problem. 1000 meters long is loaded with 0.5 amperes and by a meter, and resistance of each conductor is 0.05 per kilometer, and calculate the maximum voltage drop if the distributor is fed from both ends with equal voltages of 220 volts. Then what is the minimum voltage and where it occurs? So coming to this problem, first of all, we have to write the solution. First, given data is resistance of distributor per meter is equal to small r, which is equal to 2 times 0.05 divided by 1000 kilometers. So which is equal to 0.1 into 10 power minus 3 ohms. The length of the distributor L is equal to 1000 meters. and current loading is 0.5 amperes per meter, and the total current supplied by the distributor is I, capital I is equal to small I into L. So small I is 0.5 into 1000, so 500 amperes. And the total resistance of the distributor, capital R is equal to small r into L, which is equal to 0.01 into 10 power minus 3, which is equal to 0.1 into 1000, so which will give us 0.1 ohms. The maximum voltage drop equal to IR by 8. So 500 into 0.1 by 8 equal to 6.25 volts. The minimum voltage that will occur at the midpoint of the distributor, and its value is given by 220 volts minus the maximum voltage drop. So that is 6.25. 220 minus 6.25 will get the 213.75 volts is the total minimum voltage that will appears at the midpoint of the distributor. So these are the three problems regarding uh, uh, distributor fed at one end and distributor fed at both ends, and also uniformly distributed distributor, uniformly fed at distributors. So these are the three problems. Next, coming to the microgrid, the to introduction of microgrid. What is a, first we have to know what is a microgrid. So the microgrid is a small scale power supply network that is designed to provide power from small community. For a small community, the requirement of power will be distributed from the small scale power supplies networks. So that is called as microgrid. So for our requirement for small community areas, so it will be supplied power to the community. So the small scale power supply network is known as microgrid. It enables local power generation for local loads, and it comprises of various small power generating sources that makes it highly flexible and efficient. And it is connected to both the local generating units and the utility grid, thus preventing power outages. So excess power can be sold to the utility ground, utility grid. The size of the microgrid may be range from housing estate to municipal regions. So that much power will generated in microgrid, and it will supplies to the microgrid, from the microgrid to the municipal housing estates to the municipal regions. So this is the typical microgrid picture. So this is the extent of power served from the commercial sources. So from this is the small substation of microgrid. So this is connected to the load side storage stability batteries, and this is directly connected to the transmission power lines with distribution power lines. So it is distributed to these poles to the distribution lines. It will comes to the base operations, that housing applications, that means consumers, and also these are uses for base offices as loads. And from this one more photovoltaic cells are used to generate the solar or whatever it is. The photovoltaic cell is used to generate the supply electrical power, and this will stored in these battery storages. And here from power generator, that is by using fossil fuels, some minor power generator is placed, and here also the power generator generates the power at small rate. This is stored in batteries, So these are coupled with two photovoltaic and fossil fuel battery storages, and this will also supply some of the power to the loads and base operations like consumers and house appliances. So this is the pictorial diagram for microgrid. And coming to what is the need of microgrid, why this is needed. If microgrid is not there, uh, so microgrid is a small grid compared to the power grids. So why it is needed in our lifestyles? So we'll see that the need of microgrid. So the microgrid could be the answer to our energy crisis. So transmission losses gets highly reduced because of small grid. Transmission losses are also highly reduced because these are located near the consumer centers. So there is no problem of transmission losses. Mm, Microgrid result in substantial savings and power emissions without major uh, changes to the lifestyles, and it provides high quality and reliable energy supply to the critical loads. So these are the main operations needed from the microgrid. And coming to the environmental aspects, so the microgrid encourages the use of renewable energy sources, and large land use impacts are avoided, CO2 emissions are reduced. So carbon dioxide emissions are reduced with these microgrids. So environmental pollution is reduced, and large land use is also avoided because a small grid means it uses less land to use the equipments to install. So large land use impacts also avoided with the microgrids, and it encourages the use of renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and photovoltaics are fossil fuels are all renewable energy sources. The microgrid encourages the use of these renewable energy sources. So these are the environmental aspects of microgrid. And coming to the advantages and disadvantages of microgrid, coming to microgrid advantages, the major advantage of microgrid is its ability during the utility grid disturbances to separate the and isolate itself from the utility seamlessly with little or no disruption to the loads within the microgrid. So the major advantage is its ability to separate and isolate itself from the disturbances. So without any disturbing the loads within the ground. So this is the main advantages age of microgrid. In peak load periods, it prevents utility grid failure by reducing the load on the grid. So it is one of the advantage of microgrid is that in peak load hours, it prevents the utility grid failure by reducing the loads on the grid. The significant environmental benefits made possible by the use of low or zero emission generators, and the use of both electricity and heat permitted by the close proximity of the generator to the user, thereby increasing the overall energy efficiency. And microgrid can act to mitigate the electricity cost to its users by generating some or all of its electricity needs. So these are the advantages of microgrid. And coming to microgrid disadvantages, in this also some of the disadvantages are there for microgrid. Those are The voltage, frequency, and power quality are the three main parameters that must be considered and controlled to the acceptable standards while the power and energy balance is maintained. In power energy balances, these factors must be considered and controlled. So that is the main disadvantage. And the electrical energy needs to be stored in the battery banks. Thus, it requires for more space and maintenance. So resynchronization with the utility grid is difficult. The microgrid protection is one of the most important challenges facing the implementation of microgrids. Issues such as standby charges and net metering may pose obstacles for microgrid, and interconnection standards needs to be developed to ensure consistency. IEEE standards P1547, a standard proposed by Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, may end up filing the void. So these are the main disadvantages of microgrid. And coming to future directions on microgrid research are to investigate full-scale development, field demonstration, experimental performance evaluation of frequency and voltage control methods under various operation modes. This is the future the direction to take the research on microgrid, and transition between grid connected and islanded modes on interaction phenomena between distribution generator and high penetration of distributed generation, and also the transformation of microgrid system today into the intelligent, robust energy delivery system in the future by providing significant reliability and security benefits. These are some of the future directions to microgrid research. So coming to smart grid. So smart grid is nothing but microgrid with some factors. Network created. First, you have to know what is a smart grid. So network created through the combination of information technology, communication technology, and electrical power system is nothing but a smart grid. So which is the combination of three information, communication, and electrical power systems are combinedly form a network. So that network is called smart grid. The grid remarkable in its intelligence and impressive in its scope, which offers valuable technologies that can be deployed with the very near future or already deployed today. So it simply means a smarter power grid, that is smart grid. The traditional power system is the present infrastructure is overstrained and inter-region bulk transfer is limited. So it cannot fully support the integration of renewable energy and low reliability of power outages, fluctuating quality of power, and major sources fossil fuels, efficiency of power transmission, and almost zero customer participation and low billing and collecting efficiency with the traditional power systems. And what this smart grid does means it decentralization of generating resources and it integration of all sources of energy, mainly renewable energy sources, and continuous monitoring and feedback from the network, and also anticipation of faults and helps in fault prevention, and it establishes a two-way communication between the utilities and the consumers, and it reduces the stress on the power system infrastructure, and also it reduces and shifts the peak demand, and also continuous self-learning. These are the main factors. Yeah, the smart grid will does these things. And by enabling, what can do the smart grid? By enabling the smart grid, we can achieve a local energy networks and energy storage, electrical transportation, and robust and cheap network devices, and large data storage will enable a smart grid. So this is the diagram for a smart grid. So for this electrical storage and electric transportation also used for by using these smart grids. So the charging of car or vehicle, any vehicle will possible with this smart grids. The overview of smart grid is given by, this is per generation and this is the transmission and distribution. In generation, grid-based renewables and grid-based storage and wind farm and nuclear plant. So natural gas transmission and CO2 transport for subsequent station, sequestration, and coal gas plant with CCS. These are the some generations by using renewable sources and by generating the supplies. So these will completely gives to the smart T substation, and these are the super grids. So high temperature superconductor and HVDC linked to neighboring grids. So these are all the energies come to this smart T substation. So from this, the automatic fault isolation and smart D substation, it will send to smart D substation to the smart buildings, and this is given to automatic fault isolation block, and it will send to the smart T substation, because if any fault occurs, the efficiency of power reduces. So this automatic fault isolation, it will eliminate the fault disturbances, and it will send to the smart T substations. So these substations are the sensor and smart switches. It has the T substation has sensors and smart switches. So these are gives the sensing relays, and by using these smart switches, it will operate the smart grid for charging the vehicles in electric transportations or in. So this is the overview of a smart grid. Coming to the advantages of smart grid. So first, it is a economic development. So in that, new jobs will available with this smart grids. So coming to new jobs, the manufacturer, installation, operation, and maintenance of the smart grid and its components will create new jobs within the state. So coming to innovation, the smart grid innovation will enable the growth of business while rewarding customers with valuable new products. And coming to lower cost, the cost rise over time and energy is no exemption, but the smart grid should provide less costly energy than otherwise would be possible. As such, it will save customers money within which can be invested or consumed as they choose. So higher customer satisfaction, the combination of lower cost, improved reliability, and better customer control will raise satisfaction among all the types of customers or consumers. So improved reliability. Coming to the improved reliability, the smart grid will reduce and shorten the outages and improve the quality of the power. So in customer energy or cost savings, As precising becomes more transparent and it is allied aligned with the underlying economics of generation and also distribution, the customer's decisions to save money will benefit the society as well. So these are the main advantages of a smart grid. Some of the disadvantages are also there for a smart grid. So the disadvantages are biggest concern is privacy and security. And sometimes of meters it can be hacked by the other hackers. So the hackers can gain controls of thousands and even millions of meters. So the hacker can do increase or decrease the demand for power. So these are the disadvantages of smart grid, and privacy and security is a big concern and not simply a single component. Various technology components, and those are software, the power generators, systems integrators, etc. And expensive in terms of installation is some of expensive manner. Uh, mm, Coming to smart grids future scope, in the near future, there will not be any vast development. Initially, there is a requirement of huge financial demands and regulations. In the the long run, attitudes will change, and widespread usage of smart grid from every business to every home, just like the internet. If we are using the internet, just like the internet, we will use the smart grid power in future days. So this is all about the microgrid and smart grid and also DC distributors. So this is all about for today's class. So we will see in the next class with other topic. Thank you.